Hi, I'm Dexter Coughlin.
And I'm Hayden Atkinson.
We're from the UPEI Kinesiology program, and today we'll be demonstrating how to perform a proper barbell back squat, as well as how you can modify the squat to make it easier or harder, and how to prevent injury.
The barbell back squat is a fundamental compound movement in resistance training, which primarily involves the quadriceps, hamstrings, gluteals, as well as the spinal erectors and abdominal muscles.
In the traditional barbell back squat, a typical stance is just outside of shoulder width with the toes pointed slightly out. The bar should be positioned on the upper trapezius muscles and held stable with a grip width that is comfortable to the lifter. The head is positioned upright and the eyes are focused directly ahead. In the eccentric or descending phase, all of the lower body joints flex to lower the lifter to the bottom position. The lifter descends until the tops of the thighs are parallel to the floor or lower. The feet should be firmly planted on the ground at all times, and the heels should not come off the floor. The concentric or ascending phase, all of the lower body joints extend to bring the lifter back to the upright position.
A variation to make the squat easier is to place the bar lower on the upper back. By placing the bar on the posterior deltoids, the trunk is flexed to a greater degree. In the bottom position of the squat, this brings the bar perpendicularly closer to the knee joint and farther from the hip joint, resulting in less work from the knees and more work from the hips. With the gluteals being a stronger muscle group than the quadriceps, this bar position is a better setup from a biomechanical standpoint if the goal is to lift more weight or lift the same weight with less effort.
A variation to make the exercise harder is to perform a short pause at the bottom of the squat. This negates the stretch reflex in the muscle during the transition phase and forces the lifter to produce a stronger contraction to get themselves out of the bottom of the squat. The length of the pause can be increased or decreased depending on how much difficulty the lifter wants to add.
The long-term risks associated with squatting are joint issues, such as patellar tendonitis, disc herniation, and osteoarthritis, for example. If performed properly, squats strengthen your muscles, tendons, ligaments, and bones, putting you at a lower risk for injury. If performed incorrectly, squats can damage the hip and knee joints, as well as the lower back. A common mistake in squatting is keeping the knees and toes pointed straight ahead. This places unnecessary stress on the hip and knee joints and requires the lower back to compensate with lumbar flexion. A good cue to think about is to keep the knees out and the chest up throughout the movement. This allows the knees to track properly, the hips to move freely, and also minimizes lumbar flexion.
The short-term risk of squatting is failing a lift. Anybody can fail a lift due to either the load being too heavy or an error in technique. To minimize the injury potential of a failed lift, it is recommended to use a spotter while performing the squat. To correctly spot a back squat, position yourself directly behind the lifter and with your arms around their torso without actually touching them. Squat up and down with the lifter, being prepared at all times to assist them should they begin to fail the lift. It is important that the lifter doesn't dump the bar unless absolutely necessary, as this puts both the lifter and the spotter at risk.
Thanks for watching, and we hope you enjoyed this video on the barbell back squat.
Stay tuned for more videos as a part of the UPEI Strength Training Resource Library.